Okay. Hey, everyone. Thanks for coming back. Welcome to another edition of Livable Cities Thursday Thoughts. We want to start, as always, with a shout out to our terrific, wonderful sponsor, Sonic. Again, Rogelio, thanks for being a great guy to work with. Let's see, we want to invite you to send in any comments. You can send your comments in the, chat them into the comments line below. And just to also say that, one of the linchpins of urban life is vital neighborhoods and vital commercial corridors. So to that end, we have invited our very special guest. We've got today Maribel Ramirez, the commercial corridor manager of the Excelsior Action Group. Welcome today, Maribel.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me on today.
Sure. And in fact, I love that title so much, I'm going to say it again just for fun. Maribel is the commercial corridor manager of the Excelsior Action Group. Is that the coolest title in the world? So let me know when you want to move on. I might just come over just to have the title. Just to have the title. Okay, so our topic today is talking about the Excelsior, talking about helping small businesses. But before we start, so I don't imagine that at 5 years old, you said to your mom, "Mommy, I want to be a commercial corridor manager." How does one wind up doing what you're doing? Or how did you wind up doing what you're doing?
So it was a circuitous cycle. When I was young, I wanted to a kid become a lawyer. I went to law school and found that it fell flat for me. So I've only been with the EAG for a little less than a year, but I've really found a passion for business development and have been in it for around 4 years. So when I first got out of school, I had trouble finding a job, and I just fell into a position where we did retail interior store design. We had our own in-house. It was a small company that really allowed me to stretch and flex. And by the time I left, I was the marketing director. I started as a receptionist and ended up as the marketing director. And then I also worked on development at the Westfield San Francisco Center. I helped launch that project. And around 7 years ago, I moved into the Excelsior neighborhood, specifically Mission Terrace. And I just really became super involved in the community and neighborhood events. This was something that was really I had not really done before. I've always loved where I lived. I've always loved San Francisco, but for some reason, this neighborhood specifically really spoke to me, and I felt a strong connection. So when I heard about this position, I was actually working at a nonprofit called La Cocina, and La Cocina works with low-income food entrepreneurs. And out of that space, we helped launch 33 restaurants, open 96 businesses, and I loved it there, but I was really looking for a better work-life balance. And then I heard about this commercial corridor manager and the Excelsior Action Group that I had already known through my neighborhood connections. And I said, let's do it. Why not? I can continue doing the work I love to do, which is supporting entrepreneurship, work in a neighborhood that's obviously close to my heart, that I really want to be involved in and really work very closely on initiatives to make it a space that I can imagine kind of just elevate what it is right now. So yeah, that's how I found myself here, and continuing to work with entrepreneurs. Our entrepreneurs are very culturally and economically diverse, and that's what speaks most to me and drives and inspires me every day.
Yeah, well, it's interesting about the inspiration, because when you were throwing out those numbers of all these people you worked with and entrepreneurship, it strikes me you're really helping people achieve their dreams. You must have had a lot of moving moments, or it must feel very satisfying to see some of your successes.
Yes, I think, well, when I was at La Cocina, I worked very, very closely with our businesses, like hand in hand from development, growth, and launch. And I think when I started at the Excelsior Action Group, we're a very large commercial corridor. We're almost 5 miles, 500 businesses.
Mhm.
And I had like big vision ideas, and I was just kind of trying to get to know the lay of the land and getting to know people. But I had missed, I love the story behind the storefronts.
Yeah, right.
And I was missing that. But this current crisis has really catalyzed us and has made us work, uh, really pushed us and propelled us forward to really foster more strongly our connections. And especially with the launching, we just had launched mini neighborhood mini grant. I
Mhm.
got to really connect with so many businesses to hear their stories. And many, as I had mentioned before, many of our businesses are immigrant owned, are have low capital resources. And as a daughter of an immigrant whose parent did start his own business, it really resonates. And I that's those stories and like the struggles and the successes, it is what really really speaks to me.
Yeah. So when the pandemic hit, well, what's interesting, even before that pandemic, we all knew small businesses were having a difficulty. You got Safeway taking out the corner grocery stores, years ago, and then of course the beast called Amazon. Uh, but having the pandemic and the sense of imminent doom that seems to be kind of going around. How did that affect you? How did you, when the lockdown came and you went to sleep that night, or did you get any sleep? And I mean, how did the weight of your work change?
Well, I've always taken entrepreneurship very seriously. I've always felt the weight of it. I've never been an entrepreneur myself. I've always been able to depend on the reliability of a check and health insurance. So when a business is out there, when they are using their funds, their talents, their dollars, their livelihood to to sustain themselves and their families, to me that's always been a heavy responsibility that I've taken very, very seriously. What this pandemic has done, it has only just put a magnifying glass on that, and has really, I think sometimes when you're in crisis, it really helps. Was when I first started, I just had all these ideas. I mean, oh, I want to do this, but I had the luxury of time. I had the luxury, I felt, of exploring. And now it's just immediate,
Yeah,
real
right.
support that is needed right now to make as many businesses survive. But the weight of what they are doing and how one day can affect their abilities to pay rent, to pay schooling, to pay for food is something that has always rested heavily on my shoulders.
Right. Well, thanks for that, because we probably mostly due to the craziness in the corporate world, sometimes the word business,
Yeah.
sometimes it doesn't have great connotations.
Mhm.
But what you just talked about, which as a person who's been able to rely on salaries and things like that as well, like to put all your eggs in, for these people to come home, look at their family, and it's all in that storefront.
Mhm.
It is a heavy thing, and it's so thanks for doing all that. When we so now the tough question, because we're all, no matter what we're doing, we're all wondering, what the heck do we do next, and what's life going to be like, and how do we move forward? My goodness. What have you been talking about? What is there anything practical that you're able to work on to move forward in the midst of all this?
Yeah, so yeah, I think that's I think I haven't been in the non-profit world for so long. I was my training has been in the corporate environment, so my experience is really couched in like real solutions, like in solutions that will provide practical support. So what we are, we have short-term and long-term goals, especially in reference to COVID. And so we just launched, or we had just finished launching the neighborhood mini grants, which created connections. But now we are creating our COVID-19, what we're calling a multi-prong approach. So this is the short term is just on real quick support services to our local businesses. So one of the first things we're going to do is launch another grant program called the micro grant program. And so what this means is these are small grants that will be available to our businesses in 3 areas: in shared spaces, in PPE, and in storefront beautification.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Because many of our businesses really lack that capital elasticity to invest in these areas. So especially with businesses who are quite risk averse, they the idea of figuring out how to bring their business and how to pay for bringing their business outside is when they are just seeing if they're going to make it from day to day, is just not something that a lot of businesses in the Excelsior can imagine. So providing these grants and technical assistance on shared spaces, like, okay, here are some planter boxes, here are some tables, here are some racks. We're actually working in partnership with Livable Cities on a rental program for that too. So we have this. We also are creating community spaces. This is also thanks to the partnership with Livable Cities, where we're closing down streets to support businesses in general, but also to create a safe community gathering space for the neighbors. We are a neighborhood that unfortunately really lacks places to gather or to kind of join in this right now in a safe way, but even before. And our businesses used to be that space, our restaurants, our nonprofits. And so now how do we activate spaces that our business community can't because they don't have the time to be able to do this? We're working on one-on-one technical assistance. So off of the grants that we have got a lot of information from our businesses. So we are going to do pinpointed, targeted support services on how a business can bring their business outside and online, support with lease negotiations, support with marketing support, and trying to create different avenues of capital generating revenue opportunities.
Wow, and that was a lot of practical stuff.
I was expecting
2 or 3, but oh wow, you've got a lot going on.
We do, yeah. And we have a few other things like the What's Open SF and creating our own online business directory. And so these are just like real quick, and some are eventually a little bit more long term to be able to just figure out like how to infuse more cash, more opportunities, build resiliency with the future in mind for our business community.
Right. And what's interesting, even the things like you're talking about the micro grants, and because we we did a street opening in Chinatown on Grant Avenue, and if you don't know the situation for some of the merchants, you might think, well, how come they're not putting more things out on the street, out on a table to sell? How come they're not doing this? How come they're not doing that? But actually, even having a modest 6-foot table with some stuff out there, someone's got to be out there monitoring it. So that's a whole nother person's salary for a small business that's already on the edge.
Yep.
So it's interesting. I'm really, actually, for me, I'm really glad to talk to you, because I was going, how are we going to provide some, maybe a little cash support to these guys so they can come out and say, oh, okay, hey, Maribel knows what's going on.
Yeah, and I completely agree. Like we think, well, this is for an outsider, for someone who is livelihood is not dependent on this, we can imagine like, what, just get some tables. And
Yeah.
but people have dropped staffing, and even to invest in something that does not have a guaranteed rate of return is not,
Yes.
this is
Right.
difficult for most businesses, but especially those from business owners who are often monolingual, who don't have those capital resources, the fluidity of capital resources. And so providing a grant to, we have a small business who has boarded up his windows, and because they were broken twice. So,
Sure.
and I get that, but this is not going to help promote sales. It's going to make it very insular. So we have reached out. We're like, well, we can provide, we're going to do a photo shoot to help put you online, and we're going to give money in a grant to help pay for fixing that window. And now, he was planning on having it off on for the next few months, but now he's working on the next couple of weeks. We're going to give him the grant, and then also help promote with a photo shoot, so he's ready to like open and celebrate, in order to because the rate of return is really positive, and we're partnering to help with
Right.
that.
No, that's beautiful, because so many, again, that idea of these small business people and all their eggs in that basket, and the heaviness of the burden of supporting their family with everything they're doing in that space. And it's important to remember that when organizations like ours come in with possible solutions, we have to be careful that our I guess what you say, that the medicine is not worse than the poison, or the medicine's not worse than the sickness. We have to help remove some of the risk. It's of course these business people want to be successful, but we're all scared right now. And I can see why that person would want to keep the boards up on his window, because it sure is expensive replacing the glass on your front.
It's very expensive. It's $2,500, I think, which is really tough in a time when
Yeah,
that could be a week's worth of revenue for some businesses right now.
sure, great. And yeah, and the other thing, what I heard you talk about too is, it's interesting, these places of business were also places where our community gathered. Again, I was walking through Chinatown the other day and went by Far East Restaurant, and we worked there for a few days, and every time I walked by was another group of friends I haven't seen since the lockdown, right? I was like, oh my gosh, this restaurant was actually really important to us. And so it's not just their business, it's not just their profits or their family, it's really a place for our communities to gather again.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, this is when you walk into a store, you walk into somebody's like dream, somebody's talent, somebody who took a chance. And I think as we move forward in this pandemic, and people are inside their homes, and like how you said, when you walked out in Chinatown and saw friends, that connection, and that bridge is through our small business community. You're not going to feel that in some of these larger chain, because they
Right.
encourage that.
Right.
Small businesses, I mean, we've opened this past year maybe around 7 businesses. Almost all of them are neighbors who are just looking for a space to launch, and they wanted to do it by their home.
Great. Airplane flying over me. So I think we'll bring this to an end. Maribel, that was really great. I enjoyed having you here. Maybe we'll just have you come back every day now. I don't know if any other guest will be as great as you were. Yeah. So thanks again, Maribel. Sonic, thank you very much for your sponsorship. A little bit of a keep to everyone out there, keep your ears open for the street opening on Onondaga. Do you have a rough date yet? Maybe late August?
We're hoping sometime in August. Yes.
Okay. Okay. And so everyone, keep your ears open for that. If anyone's looking for something to do this weekend, we already have a street opening in Chinatown on Grant. And I'd like to thank our production people. We've got Angelica and Melly behind the scenes keeping this thing going. And Angelica, time for you. You got anything you want to say?
Thanks, Darren. Thanks, Maribel. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. So this video is still going to be up after the live stream, so feel free to leave your Thursday thoughts in the comments there. But I just wanted to give a shout out to tomorrow's Feature Friday What's Open SF live stream. And there you'll get a chance to win $25 gift card from Sonic. Super exciting.
Yep.
I wish I could join, right? But nope. So tomorrow, so there, Katie, our associate director, will be talking about the best small businesses in the Excelsior. So tune in there. And for next week, August 13th, Renee Colorado from the Tenderloin Merchants Association will be sharing his Thursday thoughts. And now I'll be showing a video of Sonic.
Okay.
1 second here.
Okay. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks again, Maribel.
Thank you.
And if anyone's still listening, Maribel also knows a lot about farming and native bees and things like that. So that was a whole other conversation. All right, thanks everybody.
The fastest internet in California has just arrived in your neighborhood. That means you can stream your favorite playlists all day without skipping a beat. So go to sonic.com/Sunday Streets and get 1 free month of service when you sign up for Sonic Fiber Internet today. The fastest internet in California has just arrived in your neighborhood. That